Hello and welcome to the session. In this video we'll discuss what is learning, what are the different types of learning, and let's understand the Tom Mitchell's definition of learning. See, learning is a process. Since in this session we are talking about machine learning, so we need to understand first of all what is learning and related concepts of learning. So learning is actually a process where one requires knowledge and we construct new ideas or concepts based upon the experience, just like how we are learning any concept as humans. The same thing, what we do is we try to acquire the knowledge and then we try to build up ideas and concepts based upon the experience and the knowledge that we have acquired. So machine learning is also about learning. So machine learning is all about learning. That's why it's called machine learning. But it's an intelligent way of learning the concepts from the training examples without writing any program. So machine learning algorithms, which we will be learning a lot of machine learning algorithms in this entire session. What we see is all the algorithms of machine learning learn from the past data experiences, where we identify the patterns and we make predictions when the new data is fed. So in this entire series of learning concepts, this video and the next 3 or 4 videos, we will be learning the concept learning of hypothesis space. We learn about modeling of machine learning. We learn the basics of learning theory. What is concept learning? We'll learn about hypothesis representation language, hypothesis space, S algorithm, version spaces, and some more algorithms like less than eliminate, candidate elimination, inductive bias, prior assumptions, and we also learn about resampling model selection models, learning frameworks, and we will finally see how we can evaluate the hypothesis. So let's learn now what is learning and its types. So as I told, learning is a process where we acquire the knowledge, we get the expertise through the study because of the experiences or because of being taught. So the first question comes is, what sort of tasks can the computers learn? So machine learning is also about learning. Now what sort of tasks the computers can learn? Now that depends upon the nature of the problem that the computer can solve. Now based upon that, there are two types of problems, right? One is called as a well-posed problem and the second one is a ill-posed problem. See, well-posed problem is in mathematics. Well-posed problem is one that has a solution. The solution is unique and the solution depends continuously on the input parameters. Whereas ill-posed problems in mathematics has no solution, or it can have multiple solutions, or it can have a solution that is highly sensitive to small changes in the input. So the main difference between well-posed problems and ill-posed problems is well-posed problems will have just one solution which is unique. But ill-posed problems can have no solution, it can have multiple solutions, or it can have very sensitive solutions. Now, computers can only solve well-posed problems. It cannot solve ill-posed problems. So that means computers can only solve problems which has a unique solution. So that means that means they have well-defined specifications, right? And well-posed problems will have these following components inherent to it. Okay, so well-posed problems will have T, P, and E. So T is called as the class of learning task. In short, I will just be calling it as task. P is performance, measure of performance, and E is experience. So well-posed problems will have these three components, T, P, and E. Now coming to the standard definition of learning by Tom Mitchell, who is the professor of computer science and machine learning at Carnegie Mellon University. The definition states that a computer program is said to learn from experience E with respect to some task T and some performance measure P if its performance on task T as measured by P improves with experience E. So this was the definition. So It has to be stated in the similar way without any changes, right? This is the standard definition of learning by term machine, which was stated in 1997. So basically, to keep it simple, see, when we are writing any other programs, let's not talk about machine learning. If we are writing a typical program, right? So normally what we do is, when you are writing program, is we are given some task, we will have some algorithm. So we'll write a program and we test how the program works. So that is what you see here on the left hand side. But when we are talking about machine learning, right, there are three components which are very important, as I said, because machine learning is also about learning, right? So for learning, there are three things which are important: T, P and E. T is the task, E is the experience, P is the performance. So when a computer program here is set to learn, so how does the program learn here? It learns from the experience E. And what experience? And now that depends upon the task which is being performed, which is T. And it is learning with respect to some task T and also some performance P. Now, it's not just about learning, it's also about improving the performance, right? So you measure the performance. So if the performance on T, right, so the performance of T, which is measured by the parameter P, is improving because of the experience. So that means as you go on giving good, as the experience improves on the task T, definitely the performance P is going to improve. So that is what this says. In simple words, as the experience E improves on the task T, the performance will improve. That is in simple words. So let's talk about this, map this to three different examples. Let's take the first example of a checkerboard. So let's say I'm writing a machine learning program, right? So I'm basically making the program learn how to play checkers. I'm writing a program that learns to play checkers. So what's important is I have to make it play checkers such that its performance is improving, right? So that the goal is what? It has to win at the class of task, right? So it has to win. You have to measure the performance and you win with respect to the experience. So here in general, for this is if they ask you the question, is this a well-posed problem or a well-defined problem, or is it a ill-posed problem? Definitely this is a well-defined learning problem, because I am easily able to establish the three things: task, performance and experience, right? So which is a task here? The task here is to play the checkers. What is the performance here? The performance here is how many percentage of games which are won against the opponents, how many games you have won. And experience is you gain experience by playing practice games against itself. So you give experience, you train your program by making it giving lots of practice games against itself. So that is experience. Let's take another problem, a handwriting recognition learning problem. Now this is also a well-defined problem, because I can easily find out the T, P and E. What is the task here? To recognize and classifying the handwritten words with images. So I'll give a set of images, right, which are all these images have some images which are written. You have some words which are written with different handwriting. So basically you have to recognize and you have to classify these words. So that is only the task. What is the performance? How many words are correctly classified? That means suppose I have an image called as machine. Now machine can be written in different ways in different handwritings. So you build your algorithm so that it recognizes the handwriting, right? So how many words it recognized correctly? That is the performance. And experience is a database of all these words. I give a big database of all these words written in different handwriting just for machine. That is you give the database and you make it learn. So that is the experience. So definitely this is a well-defined problem. Now third one, a robot driving learning problem, right? So all of us are now talking about right, robotic AI driven cars, AI driven vehicles, right? So definitely this is a well-defined problem, because the task here is to what? To drive on the let's say a 4-lane highways using some sensors. Definitely it will have vision sensors. So what is the performance here? Average distance traveled without any kind of error, without any accidents, let's say. So that is a performance. Training experience, where you are training the car by giving it a sequence of images, giving it a lot of steering commands, right? So that would be the experience. So definitely a robot driven learning problem is an example of well-defined problem. So now the Tom Mitchell's definition we see. Let's understand the Tom Mitchell's definition in a mathematical way. So let's say I have B as the input. So this is the B, which is the input, and chi is the input space. Right? So what is input space? Basically, this will have a set of all inputs. Input space is nothing but set of all inputs. Now Y is the output space, where I will have set of all possible outputs. Let's say my outputs here is just yes or no. Okay, so Y is the output space, chi is the input space, and B is set of all the inputs that I am giving. Let's say some set of some inputs that I have, variables, that is input B. Now I also have to give my input data set, right? My data set can be anything. I can give images, I can give videos, right? I can give some maybe any kind of database, tables, right? Anything it can be. So let's say D is the input data set. Let's say it has these as the inputs which I have in my training examples, right? Maybe some values I have from my database table, x1 by 1, x2 by 2 up to xn by n. So this is our input data set. Now we have to have a target function, right? So let's say f is our target function, which is mapping the input space to the output space, input space x chi to the output space y, right? So remember, this unknown target function is nothing but our ideal target hypothesis. Okay, so this unknown target function, which is mapping the input space to the output space, is nothing but our ideal target hypothesis, which I want to achieve from our algorithm. So what is the objective of this learning program? Is the objective of this entire learning program is I want to come up with a let's say a hypothesis called as G, right, which maps the input space chi to y such that this G is approximately equal to f. So that is my goal. Okay, my goal here is to come up with a hypothesis G which approximates f. What is f? Nothing but the ideal target hypothesis. So that's the goal of your learning program. My learning program should come up with an hypothesis. So this is my learning algorithm. It should generate a hypothesis D which is mapping to, or which is approximately same as f. So that's our goal. And what is hypothesis space? Now all the possible formulas which I have, the complete ideal target hypothesis plus the input space, all this is part of the hypothesis space. Okay, so hypothesis space is set of all formulas, my ideal target hypothesis f, as well as the input space. And what is H? This one, hypothesis H, is nothing but the hypothesis set. It is a set of formulas from which learning algorithm chooses. So this is my learning algorithm for which the inputs are the input space chi, the ideal target hypothesis, as well as the hypothesis set. The hypothesis set will have set of all formulas which my algorithm will choose. And also you are giving input as your training examples. And what is my learning algorithm output? The output is generated hypothesis G. The goal of G is that it should be almost same as f, which is the ideal target hypothesis. So the choice is good. So that means your algorithm is good if the hypothesis G replicates f for all the samples which you have given for your data sets, which you have in your data set. So if G replicates f, that means your algorithm is good. So this is the mathematical definition of the learning by Tom Mitchell. So this is the same thing. This diagram represents the mathematical definition of the learning. So finally, what we can conclude is we give training samples like x1, x2, y1, x1, y1, x2, y2. We also have a target function, right? Where target function is I have my ideal function f, which is nothing but our target function. Now both of these are dependent upon the given problem. So that means what? In this diagram, the training samples here and f, both are dependent upon the problem. So based upon what the problem is, you can have your examples and ideal hypothesis. The second point that you need to notice, learning hypothesis and hypothesis set are independent of the given problem. So that means in this diagram, this hypothesis set is independent of your problem. And the third point you have to remember is the model. The learning model is informally the hypothesis set and the learning algorithm. So your model is nothing but hypothesis set plus the learning algorithm is nothing but your learning model. So this is a final conclusion. Okay. So finally, we can conclude that, let's say I have a problem. Let's now take a case study to understand the previous mathematical concept. Let's say I have a problem where I want to predict a label. Let's say, just take a simple example. I have a set of images. I have to say whether the image is a cat or a dog. So let's say I have to label the images as cat or dog. So let's say if I label it as cat correctly, then it's a positive example. If I label it wrongly, then it's negative. So let's say D with the input data set where I'm giving images of cats and dogs. So let's say the output is, or let's say if I say cat, then the class is 0. If I say dog, let's say the class is 1. So the simple learning model is like this. Okay. So you need to set up a threshold always. Okay, if the value is greater than the threshold, then you say it belongs to class 1. If you say the value is less than the threshold, then you say that it belongs to an other class or class 0. So you can combine these two and make a single equation like this, right? Summation of xi wi, x is the input, w is the weights. Summate that plus b, that would be your h of x. Okay, so this is just your mathematical representation with an example. So that's it for today's session. Any doubts, please let me know, and please comment in the comment box if you have any doubts, and please subscribe to your channel. Thank you.